Hello guys, good day to everyone. This video is just the continuation of the first two videos that we had regarding the research framework, particularly the type of conceptual framework na pwede natin gamitin sa paper natin. Technically, we are already done in discussing the first two types of conceptual framework, which are yung tinatawag natin na theoretical framework and yung causal framework. Ngayon, we will be discussing the third type, which is descriptive framework. So to start our discussion, let us first define ano ba yung ibig sabihin ng descriptive framework. So technically, we do use descriptive framework for us to systematically present and clarify the relationship that exists between the variables that we have in our research paper. Anong ibig sabihin noon? Kung ang causal framework directly ipinapakita natin yung relationship na nag-exist between our variables. For example, yung salary, mayroong direct na relationship sa performance or motivation ng isang manggagawa. In a causal framework, you should directly mention that salary directly affect the level of motivation and job satisfaction of the employee. On the other hand, kapag ang framework natin at ang intention lang din natin sa paper natin is ma-describe yung relationship na nag-exist between our variables, descriptive framework lang yung gagamitin natin. And take note of this, in descriptive framework, we cannot determine if what type of relationship exists among our variables. Hindi natin kayang malaman kung anong relationship ba ang nag-exist between our variables. But on the other hand, we can just describe, no, and clarify the relationship that exists among our variables. Okay? Then, descriptive framework is also the best tool for systematically organizing the thoughts that we have and the ideas that we have in our research paper, which technically present the objectives or the focus of the study, the key concepts that we have, and how these key concepts interact to one another. Okay? And for us to better understand pa ano yung pinagkaiba ng causal framework sa descriptive framework, let's have this table of comparison. Tingnan natin para hindi tayo malito. When it comes to purpose, kapag ang objective ng mga researchers is just to describe the relationship and clarify the relationship among variables, ang framework na gagamitin natin is descriptive framework. On the other hand, kung gusto nating ipakita yung cost and effect relationship, ano ba yung epekto ng ganitong variables? Ano ba yung relationship ng ganitong variables to one another? Ang best type of framework na pwede natin gamitin sa paper natin is yung causal framework. Kasi causal framework is being used kapag cost and effect relationship ang ating pinag-aaralan. When it comes to focus naman, the primary focus of descriptive framework is on the characteristics and interactions among the variable without telling ano yung direct effect ng variable sa isa't isa. Okay, take note ha. Ang focus ng descriptive framework is just to detail the characteristics and interactions among the variables. But it cannot present the direct cost and effect relationship among our variables. Hindi niya pwedeng magpakita ng, hindi niya kayang magpakita ng causality. Okay? On the other hand, kapag naman causal framework, directly we are emphasizing the direction and strength of the influence of the variables to one another. Direkta nating sinasabi paano nakakaapekto ang isang variable sa isa't isa. Okay? When it comes to variable relationship, pwede tayong magpakita ng correlation sa descriptive but hindi natin pwedeng ipakita anong kind of relations na nag-exist between our variables. On the other hand, kapag causal framework, kailangan maliwanag nating ma-identify alin ang independent variable, alin ang dependent variable, alin ang mediating variable, and how these variables affect one another. Okay? When it comes to theoretical basis, ito yung pinagkaiba nila. When it comes to visual representation, ito yung pinagkaiba nila. Sa causal framework, napakahalaga ng paggamit ng arrow to indicate the directions of causality. Okay? On the other hand, kapag naman descriptive framework, pwedeng itong diagrams lang, pwedeng flowchart lang, kasi pinapakita lang naman niya yung relationship, di ba? No? And then kapag research question, ang purpose ng study na gumagamit ng descriptive framework ay to describe, no, to explore the phenomena. On the other hand, kapag causal framework, dapat meron tayong testing of hypothesis. And this testing of hypothesis should reflect on our statement of the problem. So that's the difference between descriptive framework and causal framework. Okay? Ngayon, maliwanag na sa atin kung ano yung pinagkaiba ng descriptive framework at causal framework. Tingnan naman natin yung guidelines. Paano pa yung tamang construction ng descriptive framework? So technically, we have here several key guidelines that we have to follow when making descriptive framework. Number one, katulad ng causal framework, kailangan nating mag-identify ng mga key components, okay? Which are the variables present in our paper. Okay po, the dependent, independent, and moderating variables. Then after that, kailangan nating mapakita ano ba yung relationship, okay, na nag-exist between our variables. We just have to explain the relationship. Pero hindi natin pwedeng sabihin what type of relationship exists between our variables. Okay po, so that's it. We have to articulate the relationship among our variables. Then after that is kung tayo ay merong theoretical framework, halimbawa, ang combination ng ating research framework ay theoretical framework and descriptive framework, dapat sa descriptive framework ninyo, magre-reflect din yung ating theories na ginamit. Pero kung kayo naman ay single framework lang, halimbawa descriptive framework lang yung gagamitin, obviously, wala tayong ilalagay sa theoretical framework natin. Okay? Then, katulad ng causal framework, kailangan meron din tayong visual representation and obviously, dapat meron tayong explanation nung ating ginawang visual illustration. Okay po, so to show you a concrete example of that, let's have this page. Okay, so this one is an example of descriptive framework. So nandito yung visual illustrations, no, ng mga variables that they have on their research paper. No, pinakita lang dito yung mga variables, meron lang silang arrow na naka-gear towards the readiness to engage. So yan yon. Hey sir, parang wala naman siyang pinagkaiba dun sa causal framework. Ganyan din naman po yung pattern. Yes, they almost have the same visual or graphical illustration. Pero nagkakaiba sila when it comes to the research paradigm. To, yung paliwanag sa baba. Kasi, if you're going to analyze yung content ng ating research paradigm, ito yung content ng research paradigm natin, what the researchers did here are just explaining the variables present on the study. For example, they discuss here the context of readiness to engage. Okay? And take note, gumagamit sila ng mga term na nagbibigay ng signal sa mga readers na ang purpose lang ng study ay to describe. Okay, tingnan natin. Ano yung mga hedging or mga palatandaan na statement na ang ginawa ng mga researchers is just to describe. So, they have here the concept of readiness, and this readiness might be associated. Take note, sinabi nila dito, maaring may mga factors na associated doon sa readiness ng estudyante. Association lang yung sinabi. Hindi direktang sinabi that these factors directly affect the readiness to engage. Association lang. Meron lang daw kinalaman. At ano-ano yung mga yon? Awareness, comprehension, concern, involvement, and support. Then after this paragraph, no, meron pang sinabi dito na the first box labeled awareness, and then they just discuss here, they just describe here the context of awareness. The second box is comprehension, and then they just describe here the concept of comprehension. The third box is all about concern, and they just discuss here the context of concern. Okay? And then the fourth box is all about involvement, and they discuss here or describe here the context of involvement. And the last box is all about support, and they discuss here the context of support. Kung mapapansin ninyo, yung narrative nila sa kanilang conceptual framework is more on the description lamang ng kanilang mga variables. Okay? Kung mapapansin din natin, on the given example that we have here, wala silang ginamit na theory. So technically, maaaring ang framework na meron sila sa paper nila is just descriptive framework. Maaaring wala silang theoretical framework na ginamit sa paper nila. Kasi katulad ng na-mention ko sa mga previous videos natin, it is the choice of the researchers naman kung gagamit sila ng theoretical framework and then some other conceptual framework pa na available doon sa ating mga reference materials. Okay po, so that's it. That's how we can possibly compose and construct our descriptive framework. And I hope and I pray that you're able to learn regarding how to make descriptive framework. Thank you so much.